can be very discouraging. So I'm always like trying to think of like how can I mix on the go. Sometimes though, when you're like doing BGs and stuff, like especially if you're doing two singers, like it's nice to have them in the room at the same time facing each other because they're tuning and pitching and their vibrato and everything like specifically to the other person. So that's nice if they're in the same room. But like sometimes with like with the lead vocal, they're singing to the lead, so they hear that nice and loud, and then they also hear their double, but they might be like, oh, I need some more volume, so you just turn that record track up. But with BGs and stuff, if they're going against a bunch of other vocals, I might not, while I'm recording, I might not turn these down so much because I want them to hear the pitch, I want them to hear the vibrato, I want them to hear exactly where the notes end, and then I'll turn them down after. And you'll notice that I haven't panned anything out. I used to by default just pan everything left and right. I'm like, oh, that's going to be wider. It's actually not. It's going to make your mix sound really like disorienting if all your stuff is like super wide. Pick a couple things to make really wide, but a lot of your doubles can be, and BGs can be way closer together. It'll make it sound way more glued together. And I typically think of it in the way of like a choir. So I might like, if it's like a choral section, I might put the basses on the left, then the tenors, then the altos, then the mezzo-sopranos, then the sopranos. Or if it's just one singer, I like to have the sort of high information on the side, so like the higher harmonies panned hard left and right, and then mezzo-soprano in, alto harmony, tenor harmony, and bass harmony, like the lowest stuff in the middle. You guys probably know, like when you're mixing, you know, it's like it's kind of, it can be hard if you have like too many bass elements off to the side, because then your stereo field's gonna start to feel wonky or whatever. So it's like typically like bass things in the middle, high things spread out would give you like that nice stereo image. So that's kind of how I think about it.
I think for me, my experience in doubles is like when I record doubles a little too loud and I don't focus on the bussing, it starts to phase with each other, especially with autotune. When people use hard autotune, it starts phasing, and then that's when you just gotta like, when in doubt, make a new bus and just send it to that bus, and so it's like
exactly
coming out separately.
Yeah, in different parts on different buses. But then there's like, there's every rule can be broken. Like if you want your chorus to hit and like be really wide, be a little bit more liberal with how far you pan things than you do in your verses. You know what I mean? But if you want that chorus to be wide, it could be like a guitar thing where you add in extra guitars or extra elements on the outside, and your harmonies and stuff are still in the middle. Like every rule is meant to be broken. So like this is just all kind of common practice. But okay, so what else? Doubles? Who else?
Ad-libs.
Not Jackie. Ad-libs? Okay, what are ad-libs?
Well, I don't know. For me, it's like ear candy, vocal ear candy.
Yeah.
Energy.
Yeah. Like your Quavo doubles, your energy. Yeah. Yeah, get a friend to hop on the mic, have them do like some like whatever's, you know, put them through a like compressor or like some sort of distortion. Doubles can be like the funnest part, I think, because it's like where you can actually treat the vocal as like another instrument. You can add a lot of reverb on them, a lot of like crazy effects, like whatever you want to throw at them to make them cool. Or they could just be like a simple same chain as everything else. They're just like in between the lines, adding those little like runs and riffs and sort of like melodic counterparts to the lead vocal, like a kind of like replying to the call and answer of the lead, you know? What else?
Some distortion on a double track as well, a little bit, especially when it comes to rock vocals, goes a long way.
Distortion in general goes a long way.
I fucking love distortion on vocals.
Yeah.
Of course. I'm setting my vocals to Devil Lock Deluxe, and it's so great every time.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Also, if you're doing rock vocals, do like pick up a 58. It might get you farther than like a big diaphragm condenser. Or a 57 with a pop
well,
filter.
Billy Talent, when they started doing their first records, Ben Qualowitz, the lead singer, would just grab a 57 and just run around the room screaming, because that's how he does it
Bono
live.
does.
Yeah, everything on a 58 out the monitor.
50,
Like,
50.
they in the room.
Yeah.
Such a great way to like feel live, like you're actually performing.
Yeah.
Especially if like you're a new singer, like being in the headphones, hearing yourself so clearly can be like really discouraging too, because you're not used to that like immediate like hearing yourself in your voice, like when you're just kind of hearing yourself in the room with or without headphones and like the band coming out the speakers. It's much more like a jam in a garage.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's also if you're dubbing like live session vocals, like something like Tiny Desk or Colors, whatever, because sometimes they do dub. I don't think with Tiny Desk because they're very strict about their rules, but like Colors or smaller ones, there will be overdubbing that's done for these live sessions just to give it that perfect thing. And how they do these overdubs is like, you know, especially you sing into a 58 live, you're doing it in 58 in the studio as well, but you're doing it with the monitors playing everything back to you. So you're still kind of getting that like room bleed from the monitors and the live feel as well from the performance.
The only thing to be careful with that is if like if your monitors are too loud, like hi-hats and stuff will cut into the mic, and then if you later on you decide, oh, I want to take the hi-hat out of that part of the song, but your vocals live tracked in the room, you're going to hear that hi-hat and it's going to be annoying. So just like make those production arrangement choices early on if you're going to do that, you know what I mean? Or like sometimes you just got to like retrack things, you know? There's a lot of things nowadays with like debleed and plugins. You guys can probably tell me plugins I don't know, like there's every new days like debleed plugins, like AI things, like there's so much you can do now.
New Pro Tools now has RX Spectral Editor built into Pro Tools.
I see that.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I just updated my Pro Tools. It's nuts because like they just added in the last update they added Melodyne and all that stuff, and now next to the Melodyne window you have an RX Spectral.
And now you have Vocaline.
Yeah. Oh wait, is Vocaline now with the new Pro Tools too?
Yeah.
Shut up! No way. I almost bought it. That's hilarious.
So I just got it for this reason. I'm gonna reopen my Pro Tools because I started a support ticket and they told me how to actually make it work. Hold on. Vocaline. I have to like dump my. Thanks for reaching out. Pro Tools AAX users shared. Who knows where that is? Computer. Macintosh. Users. Anthony. Shared. Pro Tools. Where is the shared? I don't have a shared. Do I have a Pro Tools folder?
Instead of Anthony, like go back.
Oh, shared.
Yeah.
Pro Tools. Cache. Is that up? Am I supposed to delete that? AVX plugin cache. Please try to find. Remove the cache files for the affected plugin. It will be named as the plugins Vocaline Pro. Vocaline. Bear with me, guys. If this works, I'm gonna be fucking. This is gonna blow my mind. I've never seen it.
Wait, is this getting Vocaline?
Who knows what you explain to them what Vocaline is?
Essentially, Vocaline is one of my new favorite tools that Anthony showed to me recently. But basically, it will save you hours in vocal editing because when you have your lead box track like fully ready to go, it's edited, locked into time. Vocaline will scan that track and use that as a guide for every other track that you have, and will chop up your double tracks, your harmonies, and will sync up the transients with the transients in your lead track. So suddenly, in the snap of a finger, your doubles, your harmonies, everything is lined up perfectly to your lead vocal. And it saves you hours and hours in vocal editing that would be done.
Did we just get it?
It's on my computer.
You can do it on Melodyne too, but like not really.
Yeah,
you can like just pull up all the
That's
tracks,
dope.
go like
Exactly.
right out.
Can you bring in?
Because you can transient edit in
Because like
Melodyne.
some
bring
tracks
in,
like you
like,
don't want it
a
on the one.
58?
You might
No.
want a little bit of like that
And, like,
timing,
a XLR from
Exactly.
tone. So like
Yeah.
I find Melodyne way tighter on that.
I'm gonna do
Well,
some
the good thing
vocal
too
right now.
with vocal, or like one thing I did, so we vocalined this track I did that was like, I did a sung part underneath like a rap verse,
Okay.
and we vocalined it to line up really well, but sometimes I wanted the singing to trail. So you're with Vocaline, it's like Audio Suite, like you're printing it onto the track, so you want to duplicate the playlist, right? So you're always going to have the original data underneath. So, you know, I was like,
You can
oh,
choose, like,
yeah,
you
it's
can always
like
post and like
Exactly.
A/B, which one sounds better, like
Exactly.
feeling and
So the ends of words on that track, I would pull from the original one so that it would like extend and be more natural. So it also doesn't sound robotic and chopped up, right? Yeah, because it is nice to have something
like control both sides, right?
all
But like
Yeah.
it's also more options as well.
Exactly. There's no right or wrong. Well, there are a few. There are a few things you shouldn't do, but for the majority of it, it's it's up to your own creative discretion.
Bass, DI, and like alignment. So DI is going to be a little bit. I mean, you can just align them yourself.
I have yet to try that. I mean, it's
different with that because it's looking more for like the natural transients of
you
the
bring me a
vocal
mic stand?
versus like the one of the snare. I'm sure it could like
I think I'll
to
need
a
it.
specific degree. I don't know, Anthony. You have
Can you
anything
choose?
What's
for
that?
like, for example, it's saying like bass guitar versus. I'm sure it's
like
specialized in vocals.
snapping up instrumental takes in vocal line? Does it? Can it alt like if you want to like you have two?
I've never tried it with
I
instruments.
haven't either. I've never tried it with
No.
instruments. I know Melodyne works with instruments.
Yeah.
I've done that.
Yeah.
Like I did this live session at the last studio I worked at in Montreal, and they had it was during the pandemic, so they were already gone and like couldn't come back, and it was that whole thing. So and I noticed there's like this guitar breakdown, and the guitar like completely slipped out of tune for this like soloed.
Yeah, I feel like for
This, like, solo-
monophonic things, you can
Sure.
probably
Oh, turn it on.
use Melodyne
Where's this?
for whatever instrument.
But yeah, so you run through Melodyne. I ran this guitar through Melodyne, and you have to make sure it's on polyphonic. Well, it should automatically read it as polyphonic.
Yeah.
But then suddenly, every single guitar note was right in front of me on the board. So I just snapped it into the grid, and suddenly we had an in-tune guitar. And so that saved my ass for putting up this live video. So, but in terms of vocal line, working with instruments again, like yeah, never tried it. I don't think it would work nearly as well.
Okay.
Because it is called vocal line after all. But there are also other things that you can do to snap your like you can quantize audio as well, which will work on instruments that could help just like tighten everything up a little bit.
I was asking more for like, let's say you have 3 bass recordings, because
Right.
that's what we usually do. We'll have like a DI recording and a SM57, and like
Mhm.
we'll have, I think it's a 421. No, not 421. The one we use for a kick drum. You also use
You
a
have Beta
422?
52.
Wait,
251.
What did you say? What did you say? No, we're saying all different things.
Yeah.
One of them. But yeah, usually DI is a little bit, a couple milliseconds before, since there's less delay.
Right.
So then normally I manually adjust them
Mm.
before I do elastic audio for
Right.
bass. But I was just wondering if Vocline would like basically just see as a, okay, so this is just a waveform. Let me.
There's
align
a
them.
plugin called Phase Align.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what I was.
fine.
Thank you.
Or
Yeah,
you
okay.
could also use
Or you could put a time adjuster on the
adjuster,
track
yeah.
and just like sample by sample get it to like the place where it needs to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, time adjuster can be.
I do it by zooming in up to the point of seeing the little waves. And then, yeah.
Yeah.
But phase align, that's the one I
Mm.
was thinking.
Oh my god! It works. Okay.
We got vocal line.
Yes. So let's just do a little doo-wop or something. I
They're just building everything in. Huh?
don't know. Yeah.
You're not gonna need plugins
We're,
anymore.
I feel like.
Where's this mic going, Anthony? Or wait, is this for me?
Into
That's for you.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, click that shit.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Snares and-
Go for Charlie.
Yo. Hey. Hello. Okay. Let's put this in. Check. Hey. Hello. Do up. Done up. Do up. Do up. Okay. So that's like a little whatever I just came up with out of my ass.
Oh shit, that's right.
So to speed this up, I'm gonna just put auto tune onto it. Ooh. So it's an F sharp major. Let's put it in low male.
I love that, finding the key using auto tune.
Yeah.
Like,
There's a little bit of game for you guys. All right. Do up. Let's actually do this in a key that makes sense. Do up. Dun up. Okay, I like the second half of that. So obviously auto-tune's doing the work, but if I turn this off, I'm gonna embarrass myself. So just by grabbing,
Great.
so just by grabbing Control Shift A, I pull up Melodyne's ARA Pro Tools plugin, so you can see it all here. So there's a lot of things about Melodyne, but I'll just kind of go through them. There's these different tools. So you got the pitch tool, which is basically lets you pitch pitch things around. If you, yeah, that's annoying. Don't show that to your girlfriend. And then if you just like highlight everything and double click it, it'll snap it to the closest thing. So this is basically how I explain this is like the auto tune function of Melodyne. So if you just like snap things and grab them, it took the center of the waveform and like put it to the closest thing. And it actually has an option to go to chromatic snap or key snap. Like it already knows I'm in E flat minor, which is F sharp major, but I can just keep it in chromatic for now. So that's that. I can also individually grab notes. I can reset things by going edit, restore original, pitch if I don't like what I did. And it works as like undo, redo. And the great thing about this is like old Melodyne, you'd have to print it to like copy it over, but now it just copies my Melodyne with everything. And then there's also this thing where you can, if you zoom in with Control Option Command, you can go in and out quickly. And I see how it's gonna, it's like a little bit off. I can grab this and that's basically retune speed in Autotune. Like that one. Now with this note, if I was to retune this, it would look up that beautiful scoop I had into the note. You're supposed to say, yeah, it's beautiful. No, okay, but I don't want to do that. So sometimes it's good, and you see how it recognizes that's a different note. But when it's not, you grab the note separation tool, grab it right on the crest there, and now I have two notes. So it goes instead of having this snap up to here. And then if I want to just retune just the end of it, now I can fix that. This one I can. Maybe that's done like a little scoop as well. Right. Another thing it can do is what's called the what is it called? Pitch drift tool. So this basically it's not hard tuning it. It's just like if your note, let's say you start on pitch and then you slightly go sharp because you get excited and whatever while you're holding your beautiful note, this will just take the end of it and make it closer to the beginning or the beginning closer to the end. It just basically flattens it out without actually making it robotic sounding. So you can see, see how the end kind of drops off there? And it's making it all just kind of like even out a little bit. That's that tool. And those are like the four tools I mainly use. Melodyne's also great at time. So like let's say that one harmony, I'll get into this more with harmonies, but let's say one harmony ends a little bit sooner than the lead. Rather than getting the singer to get it perfectly, I just want to get a bunch of stuff ready. I'm like in the session, I'm like go, go, go. Fix it later, I can change the length of notes. The only problem with this is it'll affect the note beside it, so it'll push the next one over. So to avoid things like that, what you can do is you can make a little bit of like a edit there, and now it'll push it, but you see it doesn't give me as much give. So that can be a little bit cumbersome. Like you might, with this one it's a little bit easier because there's a breath afterwards. It'll just push the breath smaller and smaller. But if I really want to get granular, I can just go like this, make a cut out of that, and then consolidate that time. Now I have a clean note there that I can stretch out much further if I wanted to. That's like Melodyne basics. And then let's do some harmonies and then do some timing. So where are my BG tracks going? Let's just make some new ones. So make some 6 of those. Okay. Or something like that. I don't know. So let's go. Oops. Let's make the input 2. Okay, so so there's my loop there. fast. So I don't know how this works yet, but let's see. So typically in VocalLine, you'd go into your audio suite and you'd go into VocalLine 6 Pro, and I'll just show you how I know so we can walk through this. You'd go capture. That's capturing my lead track, and then I want these to be timed to that. I found this weird thing where if you Melodyne first and then VocalLine stretching things out sometimes ruins the pitch of it. So usually I do my timing first and then my tuning. So I'll make a new track. I'll call this .tn for tune, and then I'll do all my tuning and timing. So I've got my capture, my guide captured. Now I'm going to get my dub captured and render that. So now you see if I jump up to the last playlist, I'm just hitting shift up and down to scroll through playlists. If it messed up at all, I have my tune track, but I also have my untuned and time track where I can quickly swap something in. So let's say it messed that one up. Sometimes it glitches. Just go shift command and then up, and it brings in the last playlist there. That's a piece of crazy game for you guys. So anyways, it actually worked fine. So now I would go into this and do the tuning. That one's a little off. So when I snapped to grid because it wasn't in key, I was sharp or flat and it didn't know which note to go to. I just like this one, so I'm just going to quickly go back to grid mode, grab and paste that there, add some fades. Okay, not perfect, but it's okay because I just sped through that to show you guys this whole fucking thing. So let's see, let's go back to my BG. I'm going to make a new track, call it tune. Now let's do this with, oh, it already thinks I have that, so tune new. Let's do this with VocalLine ARA. So if I go right click, now I have VocalLine 6 Pro here. I can edit it right in there. I don't even know how this works yet. That's awesome. Okay.
I'm so excited.
So let's say I go capture here. Okay, VocalLine Ultra cannot do this. There's no selected guide. Please make sure that you have added VocalLine Ultra on the guide track segment. So I think you can only do one at a time. So I have to commit the Melodyne on this track, which I'm going to go to none here on the Elastic Audio sort of like plugin processing window here. Go none. It's going to ask me to commit. I'll commit. Now that it's committed, let's see if it works. Okay, no, I have to see it. It's asking me to do it on that specific clip. So I'll go VocalLine 6, edit. Okay, now it's seeing it, I think. Captured. Boom. It's already on that track, VocalLine 6. Dub. Capture. And did it already do it? The thing is, I can't tell if it did it, but let's quickly commit that to check.
Nice.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it's there, yeah.
It did. So I didn't even have to hit render for that. And the thing with this is, VocalLine now with 6, you have match pitch. The crazy thing with this is like usually it takes so long to like capture the tuning or the timing of it and fix it, and then you have to go in and Melodyne it. But with the new VocalLine, I can do match time. I can also match pitch as well.
But it's a harm.
The thing is, it'll know
It knows it's
what key it's in and
Yeah.
what notes you're trying to hit, even if it's a harmony. That's like the crazy thing about this.
It even works.
So I go capture. Wait.
I can finish the record at home, so it's-
Oh, because there's no guide. Hold on. So if I capture the guide again. Now will it let me turn this on? Okay, there we go. You can do it afterwards. So now it'll even tune it to match the scoops and all that shit to my thing. So target mode, nearest octave, pitch target dub. I think I'd want it to match the dub, so it would match itself. Smart pitch, match alta guide, match unison only, match unison and tune non-unison. I think that's what I'm looking for. And I think you can also, there's a window you can open up here there we go. So now I can see what it's doing to I can see what it's doing to my upper harmony there. So let me try to zoom out a little bit. There we go. I don't know the shortcuts for this yet, but this is like going to save me so much time. Okay, so I'm trying to think, does it show you what it's going to do? Small line. Absolute. I need to spend some time with this. Okay, here, relative. So I guess I want it tight. See how it knows where to put the notes? I think. Nope, it didn't. Does it not know the pitch of it? No. Transpose, lower, higher. Here's the octave. So, yeah, I'm still learning how to use this, but this is like super powerful. I'm gonna go in depth more, but like if you guys get this plugin, definitely check it out. Like this was never a thing where you could do the tuning and the timing. Like I would normally, like I did before, match just the timing of it. Commit this. And then go in and Melodyne this after. Right?
What?
But you can kind of see how powerful it is. Like,
Anthony,
I just got this.
what I
released
find
one more
useful in
time, but-
Melodyne is to like route keys to like those actual tools.
Yeah.
So like each of these tools that you're going into clicking or 1, 2.
Oh yeah, like have
Like-
them on your keyboard.
Yeah, and because you have it like 1, 2, 3, so you'll just go like 1, 2, 3 to
It's,
that tool.
it's already
5, 6,
mapped
7.
actually in Pro Tools.
Yeah.
So like in you'll see my F keys
Yeah.
are all these there, and if like F2 is that, if I hit it
Yeah,
three
you hit
times,
it 3
it goes
times
through
exactly.
them.
Yeah, it's like the fastest thing.
So that's super fast too.
Yeah.
It gets a little bit tiring on your right clicking hand. You're always going between tools.
Yeah,
so
like I'm always like
definitely get your stuff. That's part of my shortcut game. I'm not super fast at yet. I need to get good at that. But yeah, that's another thing. And then obviously you could go. That should live on this track, and then you could go crazy and start adding other harmonies. That's just an octave of the higher one, and then you do the whole thing again. So, Melodyne, vocal, align, pitch, all that stuff. It's like a super fast crash course on that, but yeah, vocal tuning and production is like super key. Definitely separates like the boys from the men, as they say. So yeah, questions about that? I know I spent a lot of time on that. What's that? Yeah, once I get really good at that vocal line thing, I'm not even gonna have to like Melodyne my doubles. It'll just be one click.
I know it used to be super janky back in the day. Like if you had a long take, it would like add artifacts. And
That's why I always duplicate the playlist, because it'll add artifacts, and then I can always just go. I fucked this up because I was recording on this track, but if it was on this track still, I could go back and like go back to the original vocal and time that manually, or just vocal line just that note or whatever. So sometimes, yeah, you gotta like still listen to things. Always listen, because it won't work exactly how you want.
About Melodyne, let's say you record your vocal, right? And then you're like editing the pitch. And it happens to me that sometimes I missed like manually de-essing a vocal, like a part of the vocal. But like I do the change on the clip, but then nothing happens because the like the sound is printed on the Melodyne.
Yeah, but that's different now because since it's integrated into Pro Tools, I can like pitch this down and it'll still keep my Melodyne edits. Like if I open this up, you'll see it actually.
Like it'll change.
Yeah. So
it's not operating as a plugin. It's like
see how it made a little cut there? Like you see the gray lines?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have to commit or print anything. You can do all your editing. You can copy it all over the session and then commit it to it afterwards. And then even after you commit it, it's still keeping the edits you made. So I can even drag this out further. It's kept everything. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Are you using Auto-Tune just as a recording tool in this case, and Melodyne just to do fine editing? After
Yeah,
you've
like
done
I mean,
recording?
Auto-Tune's off right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so like, I'm like a big fan of like not auto-tuning. Like if you're doing like a session and you just want to get things down quickly and like not necessarily spend so much time melodyning during, I'll like record without it so they get a good performance and it's in pitch.
Okay.
And like if they're like really off or like they're doing a bunch of stacks, I might record with it on just to speed up the workflow. But I'm a big fan of like using Auto-Tune as a recording tool and then like going in, turning it off and melodyning everything because you just get so much more nuance from the performance and everything afterwards. Unless you're Charlie XCX and you're just like slap that shit on. Fuck it.
Well, yeah, I've heard of
Auto-Tune
it.
has
Yeah.
such a specific sound to it.
Yeah.
Like it really is like you can hear it.
Yeah,
Toys.
there's an EQ thing to it too. Like it crispens up the vocal
Yeah.
and like I've had singers, even when it's like on, but it's like fully on flex tune or like off retune. They're like, "Is auto-tune my voice?" I'm like, "No," but like they hear it. It's like has this artificial sort of metallic-y sound to it, which is cool. I actually kind of like what it does, but it's kind of negligible. But you can still kind of has a sound to it. Yeah,
It's creative choice, really. What it boils down to.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
Okay.
for the vocal line thing, do you have to own vocal line already?
yeah. You have to own VocalLine. Pro Tools, I'm pretty sure comes with Melodyne now. A very basic version. Like you won't be able to go into like pitch
I think
or
you still
anything.
have to own Melodyne.
I don't think so.
No.
It comes with Essential.
It's essentials, yeah. You can drag them.
Yeah, you can drag
it
them, but you
out,
can't,
so
like,
edit
Can't
anything.
Really tune or like cut or like anything like that.
What
Yeah.
about RX? Like do you
RX
to
comes
buy
in
it?
built in too. Let's check that out. I
Whoa.
haven't done it yet. So Spectral Editor, you need to own this. Oh,
You have to own
I
it.
need to own it.
Oh.
Thanks for using.
I don't know if I have this.
Oh my god, no.
RX.
But same with Vocalline though, because I don't own it.
See, now I have RX here. So let's say like, excuse me. See that click there? That's like the metronome coming into the microphone. I can just go to gain, attenuate. Where is the instant process? Is there an instant process on this one? Maybe not. I usually use it as like a separate plug, like a separate app where you have instant process, so you just highlight and it automatically does it. But in this case, I'll just go like this.
You do it inside Pro Tools or in its standalone?
Standalone usually, but now I'm gonna never do that because I have this. Attenuate discards the selection and interpolates it from surrounding audio to match the surrounding audio. I think there's more. Like there's more to the full version. Like there's this thing called replace, which I really like, but this kind of does it anyways. But that attenuates it. Yeah, see, it's like not really doing what I want it to do. Oh, there we go. That did it. So this kind of interpolated with the with the rest of the audio, and you can see I can still undo, but it got rid of that click there. So versus you still can't. I mean, there's not much bleed in the microphone, but like this is super powerful. Like your piano chair squeaks, or like your vocal has a click in it, or like a mouth click or a mouth noise or whatever. RX has a whole suite of plugins you can use, like mouth declick. I'm a mouth declick ho. I love that. Yeah, DS, decrackle, decreath, like everything.
Renoise saved my ass a couple times.
Renoise?
Or sorry, music rebalance. Excuse
Music
me.
rebalance.
Excuse
Yeah,
me. Not renoise. Ignore that. You don't want to add noise.
Something.
No, you're so bad.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
can't.
You might have just cracked open a new production tool.
Yeah. RX renoise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, no. Music rebalance is the right one. That kind of helps you. It's RX is able to kind of, but pretty well identify what's a drum kit, what's vocals, guitar, bass, and you can like take away, strip, or like add more or whatever.
Exactly.
So what were we doing where we wanted to like isolate, because we just had a 2-track, and this is what you did with where we pulled stems from the 2-track and
Oh,
did
yeah.
rebalance.
A lot of the times, like what I'll like, I find it like really fun to just like put a metronome in my ear when I'm at home on my piano, and just play piano and then like record myself mumbling and writing, and then what I'll do is I'll like isolate just the vocal, and I'll put it into Ableton, and then I'll like it'll have the iPhone recording but remove the piano from it or remove the guitar from it, and then I can produce around this like rough iPhone record of me mumbling melodies or whatever, and then punch in things afterwards.
Sick.
Yeah, like that's a pretty cool thing to do. Or if you want to keep the piano but you don't want to keep your mumbling lyrics and you're going to punch in new lyrics, just keep the piano because you just did hit that chord away, you don't even know what you did or whatever. It's like, you know, and it's often iPhone recording, it's shitty because you rebalance or whatever, but in the mix it sounds so cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's so much you can do with that. That plugin is this music rebalance. So if let me see if I have any sort of track I can show you guys.
Yeah, I like the parallel drums or like guitars.
Yeah.
When you separate the stems out, but you keep the 2-track, the beat in there.
Mm-hmm.
You just spice
So
it
for
up.
example, this is one of my songs.
I was gonna say you should pull up Rhythm. Yes.
So obviously there's like a whole bunch of instruments in that. If I go into noise reduction and then music rebalance. This is great also if you're like sampling, you know, like if you want to take a part of a record but you just want to keep the vocals or whatever, I can just take the vocal out. Render that. You can kind of hear it like a ghost, but it. Wow. Or opposite, right? Like just this is what I would do with my iPhone while I'm playing piano at home. Like pull that out.
I like speed up. I don't know if you use speed up.
This is kind
Speed-
of there's
speeds up.
a better tool online called Fader.com that's like really good at it. There's like La 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 is like okay.
Serato.
Fine Fader's the best.
Good.
There's like different ones now though too. Like I know like there's all these
Yeah,
AI
some of
apps
them
like
are better.
Sumo or Pseudo or something.
If
It's
you
like,
have
I think
a,
it's like AI music generation.
Yeah.
It's like other ones.
if you use like an Apple Silicon Mac with the new Logic 11 has a stem separator in it,
Oh,
and it's
sick.
actually really good.
Serato
Like,
has one I
yeah.
too. FL Studio has it built in now too.
How's RX at taking that like phase, kind of like grainy sound when you separate a vocal?
I've never tried it.
Because I found like the biggest thing when making like remixes or anything, you get the vocal in, but it can never really sit right.
Because it's
Unless
grainy
it's-
and artifacty.
Yeah, it's a really like.
Kind of, I don't know how.
mix,
I mean, you'd have to play around with it. I don't want
Yeah.
to spend too much time doing
Yeah,
that.
of
'Cause I have
course.
other things, but like that's definitely something to try. I don't know if there's like a shit AI remover, but like that'd be cool.
Money, yeah.
Slap it into Adobe Podcast. You know that one? That
Oh
one's
yeah,
pretty cool.
that's fine.
It like takes your vocal and then like makes it sound like it's on a professional studio microphone. So maybe that would work.
Yeah.
You know, I've used that.
But
a
there's
lot
like
on
weird like
video
AI
stuff.
effects where people. It sounds like if it's an artifact, it sounds like there's a robot talking to you and stuff. I don't know if you guys use a lot of it, but like
Yeah.
sometimes it picks up that something and it creates a own language. And it's talking. It's like yo, what the
Sample
fuck?
that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. Fuck around.
Definitely.
Okay, that's like the vocal, big part of the vocal stuff. I'll talk about like a little bit more about vocal direction and being like a therapist in the room later. But like, what else do you guys from vocal production? I'm gonna move on to like band stuff. What time is it? 9 o'clock. We're like doing a little behind. 30 minutes behind. Yeah. What else? Any questions? Yeah. That was good. I guess I'm a good teacher. Yeah. Okay. All right. So. Okay. Just gonna take a second here. Band record, column practices, bass setup, guitar setup, drum setup, piano setup, road setup. So yeah, Charlie talked a lot about like miking stuff. Let's let's go in there and talk a little bit more about like instruments and how to mic them and stuff. Yeah, that vocal line thing is gonna fucking change the game.
Wait, but I do
mean,
have
like,
to previously own Vocaline before
Vocaline Pro 6
for it to work.
Yeah.
In my new system.
Only
Okay.
6, and you have to. I think you have to have the newest Pro Tools.
I do have the newest Pro Tools.
Yeah.
But I don't own Vocaline.
So you can't have project and work and use it in
Like
Pro Tools?
it's now it's gonna be.
Okay.
Okay.
But I wanted to say thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. I hope you learned something. I don't know. I'm on 10, so it works.
Okay.
Maybe you need 10.
Okay.
Is
it the standard one or the?
I don't know. You have to look.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I have RX Advanced.
Okay.
I'm sure it works with me, but maybe it'll work with standard. Okay. I'll wait for people to pour in. Is that everybody? Okay. They're like chatting. Okay, so drum mics. Go-to snare mics. Anybody have any preferences?
57.
57? Yeah. 57's a pretty top and bottom classic mic. The 441 is like a goated snare mic. It's a great vocal mic too. Like Stevie Nicks records all her vocals on this. This is a really nice snare top mic. Typically, I don't have a snare here, but like I would put it sort of like around here, sort of just below the ride. And some people like to point it down at the bottom mic. I always find that I like to point at sort of the middle of the head, or even angle down to where I imagine the middle of the drum is, because that's like the main sound of the drum. Depending on what you kind of want to go for, like a more clicky sound will be there, a more full-bodied snare sound will be in the middle. With anything, like, I don't know, miking and stuff seems like super daunting when you're just starting out, but, oh, that needs to be tightened. The best sort of piece of advice I ever got is just point the mic at the sound. So it's like, if you want like a more boomy sort of like snare sound, rather than like point it at the middle of the drum, so like kind of up and then like towards the middle of the drum. If you want like more clicky or like get the really attack of it, point it where the thing is hitting the actual snare drum, you know? If you want a more metallic rim sound, point it more at the rim. Like, it's really not rocket science. Obviously there's like more nuance to it than that. Like, I'll have my assistant like come in and I'll move things, and like while I'm listening I'll be like hit the snare and like move it a little bit, whatever. And then I might come in and adjust it, but I'm pretty good at just guessing now, just because like I'm pointing the mic at the sound. So snare bottom mics, 57. I've never used anything other than this on a snare bottom. If anybody has any better ones, let me know, but this usually does the job. With that, it depends like how you angle your snare. If you want like a really rattly sound, put the rattles to like line up with this mic here, so you can put them right underneath it. I usually don't like that sound too much. I kind of angle them a little bit away from it, and then just point it right up at the bottom of the snare drum. And then I'm like, just like, depending on the height, you might get a little bit better phase. But pretty much like about a couple inches off the drum, right at the bottom is where I aim for. If you mic anything too close, I find that sometimes it overloads the mic. So like a little bit of space for that air to push through and not overload it is typically good with anything. Unless you're really going like for a vocal rock sound, like you want to get right on that dynamic mic or something like that. Overheads. What are your favorite overheads?
TLM 102.
TLM 102?
Or AKG C414.
Yeah, 414s. Anything else? We have a little bit.
The Neumann, what are the Cage?
KM 184s. Those are like my go-tos. I love KM 184s. Coles are the ribbon mics.
Oh, nice.
Those are a little bit darker, like I said. Those work great. They work great as like room mics as well, because you're getting more of the room and not too much of just the cymbals. And typically with those, I think Charlie was explaining, like I'll put them aimed at the rim of the snare right here, and just like kind of like right here, one sort of above the ride. And the crash mic, I might aim a little bit more vertically down because I really want to get that nice crash cymbal there. I don't want to get too much of the rest of the drum kit. But of course that's going to be picked up by everything else too, so you don't have to worry too much. And then with the ride side of the overhead, usually the overhead for the hats is like put the stand around there. And with the ride, I find it hard to get in on the drum kit unless you have a really nice long stand from here. So usually I'll put it kind of behind the drummer here, going over top of his head like that. And again, with like the height of those, if you want a tighter sound, get a little closer to the cymbals. Want a more roomy sound, get above them. Like what I've sort of like been taught and like kind of like my rule of thumb is about a foot or two above the shoulder of the drummer. So if the drummer is like here, like that's the height right there.
Which ones are you using for that one?
KM 184s. Sometimes I'll do U87s. Great mics. Any large diaphragm condenser. Somebody said 414s.
Good to see you, man.
184s are just like these small pencil condensers, and they just do a great job of capturing like the definition and not too much of the kick and like the lower end things because they're like a smaller capsule. It's like the size of the capsule determines how much low end you're going to get.
Most pencil mics would work for that, right?
Yep. So the KM 184s are these guys. Are they on the piano right now?
It's a dual pair stereo pair, right?
Oh, right here. That's your KM 184. It's got a pad switch on it. You might need that for overheads. Tom mics. What's your go-to toms?
420.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. 421s. We got about a million of them.
904s.
What's the other one?
I also love the Sennheiser 904s.
Yeah, we don't have those.
For tom, no, we don't. But it's
Those are like the live mics, right?
They're great for live, but honestly, like for toms, they work. The 604s are like the lower quality ones. Those are good for live mics. But using a 904 on some toms sounds really, really good.
Totally.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the MD421, classic Kurt Cobain vocal mic too. So with the toms, very similar to the snare, about an inch or two off of the head, pointed towards the middle of the drum. Things with the toms is sometimes I like to angle them a little bit lower, just so I can get like a nice boomy tom sound without too much other stuff. Since if it's like this, I'm going to get more snare in them. But typically with toms, you're editing out the whole track and just unmuting that mic just for when he hits she hits the tom. So yeah, so typically like that. Or if I'm going to edit a lot, I'll just do it like that because I don't want it to be too boomy. But with toms, you kind of want the boom, you know? It's like a bass instrument almost. Hi-hat mic.
None.
What's that?
None.
None. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't like hi-hats. Talk to old rock guys, they love their hi-hats,
I
though.
actually think it's nice in certain, it depends on the genre. Like,
Yeah.
we were producing a jazz song.
Mhm.
For that one, it's good because you want the hi-hats to be, like, defined. You don't want them to just be captured from the overheads, which is what you're using essentially for, like, cymbals and everything.
Yeah.
So, really depends on what you're going for, I think.
For sure.
And also jazz is softer too. It's not like they're like
Yeah.
sliding
Yeah.
the hi-hats
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's not
Totally.
like
And you can just lower it, like, obviously it doesn't have to be, like,
Mm-hmm.
the centerpiece, but it has to be there and it has to be clear.
Yeah.
So,
and jazz has a lot of open hat too, so
Yeah.
yeah.
you want to capture
Another thing you can do is the Steely Dan trick, which is what they do on Asia on that album.
Love that.
Is first of all, if you haven't heard Asia and
Listen
you
to
want to, if you want to be an engineer, listen to Asia because Asia, it's AJA. It's known, it's widely regarded as one of the best engineered albums of all time. That's 1977. Gary Katz, the guy who did it, he was 23 years old when he did that. Insane. What am I doing with my life? But yeah. So anyways, one thing that they did with the hi-hat mic and the snare was they sidechained the stereo, or sorry, they sidechained the panning. So if you're listening to, and I don't know if that, because I haven't found anything that's like more specific on that, but if you're listening to, I believe it's Peg, you're hearing the hi-hat, they do audience perspective, so you're hearing the hi-hat on the right, and every time the snare hits, it gets pulled into the center. So you get this really cool like breathing movement going on with your drum kit, and like when
how
that
they did
snare, yeah, it's super cool.
What do they automate it manually?
I guess. I don't know, it was the 70s, right? So he's just like, he's in the room just printing, yeah, okay. Yeah, and it kind of like every time the snare hits, because the snare is like the most powerful part of the kit.
It's like,
right?
sorry guys, I got to do the hi-hat panning take.
Yeah.
Just running through the whole song like this.
Honestly, yeah.
I mean, the budget on that was also insane.
Yeah.
To
Well, it's all, yeah.
Well,
so
also,
rock,
he didn't sleep, so.
yeah. Rock budgets in the 70s is very different from what they are nowadays. It used to be, okay, we're going to book out the studio for 6 months. We're going to write all the songs in there, track, mix, all that. Now it's like, okay, we have just enough money for 1 week of tracking. Are we going to do this album?
Yeah.
So
452. If I had more 184s, or KM84s, I would use those. This is a really nice AKG mic. Works really well on acoustic guitars too. Really, really similar sound. It's a bit beefier and chunkier than the 184. It's not as defined. It's like AKG makes great, nice. It's a vintage mic too. I find it like works nicely on acoustic guitars too, because you get a little bit more of the body, but it works just fine with snares. Typically, I'll just angle it a little bit away, just because I don't want too much of the other stuff in there. If I want that isolated hi-hat mic to like bring into the mix, I don't want to be messing up the balance of the rest of the kit, so I typically won't angle this mic towards the snare. There is an argument though too, is like that's part of your snare sound, so you could angle it more towards your snare or more face down, but I typically go just around there. What are we missing? Kicks, kick in, kick out.
D112 kick
Yes.
in.
Also, that's the one I was talking about for the bass as well, as like the second mic.
Yeah, D112, it's right there. This is a great choice for an inner kick mic too, the RE20 classic. This is actually the mic of choice for Tom York's vocals, the Radiohead sound right here, and he would aim it sort of up at his like upper palate to give him more of that like baby effect of like sounding like a whiny baby. But that's the sound. Sometimes we do these mics as well. This is, what are these called?
Oh, the Boundaries?
The PZMs.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I don't know if it's the PZM or it's the other one.
That's a microphone.
Yeah. So yeah, this is basically this is a contact mic. So this you would actually put this on like the pillow or something in there, and it's just getting like that kind of like boomy sound. Yeah, but if you want like a nice punchy kick, a D112 like sort of in the kit is this kit. You can't really go too far into it. Actually, you could if you had a shorter stand. You could just kind of angle it in there. That's what you do. Also with like the kick in mic, where you put it really affects the sound. Like if you want a really beater sound, like you get it right in there.
I see it.
Wait,
Yeah,
where
just
do
be
you
very
put the,
careful.
so the kick in and kick out are two different mics, right?
Yeah.
So where does the kick in go?
So kick in would be in the kick, or like right in the hole. And then the kick out mic, let me just put this away.
And then you just blend the two together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
another phasing thing as well that you should be checking for.
Right.
The PZMs, you can also use it like on the ground.
Yeah.
We did one, actually that was the same jazz thing. We put one here and then the one here, kind of use it as like a room mic. We had a room mic. We had two room mics. Actually.
Yeah.
But that
the
one
feeling,
like,
right?
yeah.
Mm.
But now we had like 15 mics. It was an overkill. It was an overkill. We were forced.
You do it.
But
And then you can
should
always
pick
mute
and
them later.
choose, right?
So it's always good to have more
More.
mics, as long as you have enough inputs as well.
Yeah.
Depends on your style. Like some producers like put 4 mics on the kick out, snare top, overhead mono, and like a crotch mic like right here, sort of in the middle of the kick, and that'll give you a great sound. Like the classic John Bonham sound is like the overhead's like over here, kick top or kick out, snare top. I think it was actually 2 overheads, one mono here and one off to the side to get like the side of the kick. There's so many different like philosophies of it, but my kick out mic, I love the, where is it? The FET 47. So this is like a U47, but it's a condenser mic, so it's not a tube mic. It can take a little bit more volume, but not too much. Like with this mic, I typically find it overloads itself even with the pad on if I'm like here. So I typically have it a little bit further out. So you're getting more of the boom of the kick. You can do all sorts of crazy things with your kick too, like put a piano bench here with some carpet, or like soundproofing texture, what's it called? It's like moving mats on top of it to get like just the kick, so it's like shielded from the overheads, and it creates a little bit of like an echo chamber. I haven't done that in a long time. Like if I'm recording in a small room, I find that I just don't need to do that.
What's the I think it's Alicia Keys. There's an Alicia Keys song where there's like this booming kick drum
Yeah.
throughout the whole thing. What they did for that is they actually stacked 10 kick drums like all in a row, and mics, like, you know, you had the mics at the beginning, but you had the ones at the end. So the sound is resonating through 10 kick drums, and then you have this just slap and whomp coming down.
Something I've also done before, which is kind of fun, is you take your extra toms. If you have extra ones, we have a bunch of them back. You put it somewhere outside of the drum kit, like in the corner of the room, and mic that. So it's just getting the resonance of the room,
That's
like
fun. That's
rushing the
cool.
waves around, and you get this like weird, almost like PVC pipe sound out of it. That's a cool trick. Snare top, snare bottom, kick. Ride mic, I would probably use a 452 as well if I didn't have a KM184, but a KM184 is kind of like the god mic for rides or anything sort of high-endy.
I have a question about miking the snare.
Yeah.
Do you put it like in the back of the hi-hat? Like
Right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you talked about this yet?
No, that is a cool trick.
So this is super fun. This is what's called a sub mic. So essentially, with the speaker, it's a little bit more complicated, but like the layman's terms is if you just reverse the wiring, the speaker then becomes a microphone. So this is
You guys listening?
So this is a subwoofer speaker with the wiring reversed. So now it acts as a sub microphone and is picking up those sub frequencies.
It's so big.
So yeah, so you pop that guy right in like as a kick out type mic, and you really add a lot of oomph, for lack of a better term, to your kick drum. So yeah, super fun little thing.
A lot of the times I will just I'll use like a slate trigger and like add subby kicks or hip hop kicks or whatever
Or
to like beef up my thing.
Tell them about your LFO delay trick.
Oh yeah, well I'll show you guys in there. I do like there's this thing where a Mooger Fooger thing. Yeah, I learned it on Mixed with the Masters. I forget it's like the great song M83's Midnight City. He did like this trick where he would like take the kick signal and run it through an LFO, a Moog LFO low pass filter, and if you crank up the resonance on it and choose the frequency of it, it starts to feed back on itself when you send it signal, and then you turn the resonance just back to where it just like only happens when you kick it, and you get this like 808 out of your kick. It's like really cool. I do that on every single record.
You put me on that one still.
Yeah.
It was that we did that plus the transient shaper to beef the transient within that LFO. That's how you turn the cajon into an actual kick drum.
Yeah. We did it with the cajon on the tiny desk.
Yeah.
They didn't end up actually probably doing that.
No, they didn't. I know you asked them to, but they didn't.
Okay, so vocals would typically be in that side. With bass, I was telling you guys about the Avalon DIs. It's these guys right here. So it's really simple. It has an in and then a through like a regular DI, but it's an active one, so it's a preamp as well. And then out at the back, you get a line level signal. Plug your bass into that. Go right to Pro Tools, and that's your bass sound. And then if you want to emulate the sound of an amp or something, you can put decapitator or some distortion or something on it. Or, I mean, like, record an actual bass amp. You can pretty much never go wrong with those. I don't know if if I'm doing more modern stuff, I'd probably pick a DI just because it has a really nice clean frequency. But with rock and stuff like that, like a bass amp is always going to sound better because it's just distorted and fatter and all of that.
Raw.
So guitar amps, we got the Fender. It's a classic, like really mid-rangey, like chunky amp. Sounds great on everything. It's got great reverb built into it and all that. Super, super loud amp. The Marshalls, obviously like a classic for harder stuff. They just like have like this really clean sounding distortion where you can play chords and you can still hear everything in the chord. Whereas with this, it's like more of like a blues drived, like a sort of like a bluesy overdriven sound where it's like just really kind of distorted and it starts to sound like mush, which is cool for like that sort of genre. But with like a bunch of guitar stacks and chords and like punk or rock, like you want to hear the chordal information. So you probably want to use one of those. Or just one of these, just cleaner, but I did different, completely different sounding things. This is Spencer's PRS. What is that? Yeah, PRS with his like. This is actually cool. It's called a load box. So this is actually, you can record the sound of the tubes without a cabinet, and it has like its own emulators in it of different cabs. If you're like looking for like a home setup where you can get like an amp sound without bothering your neighbors with a huge amp, this is really great because you can plug headphones into this. It's actually going through tubes and emulating the sound of a cabinet, like much like a Neural DSP or whatever would, but with like much better emulators. Kind of like a Kemper, I think, it's the same idea as like the Kemper amps. Really classic for like live stuff too, because like you might be in a different country with different AC and now your amp's not working the same way, or like your settings or your techs are, you know, they're dealing with different backline gear and it's not quite consistent enough, but this thing is just going to sound the same any country, anywhere around the world, and great for home because like it'll give you an amp sound with just headphones recording in the quiet of your room. With like guitar amps, I'll show you guys. Want to grab me a 57?
Yep.